When it comes to silver, there's one thing you have to do or you will absolutely fail. We'll cover that in this video. We also have to talk about this drone situation. We're going to talk about $8,000 gold, actually $8,000 to $12,000 gold from one of the sharpest chart readers in the world, in the universe. We've got a lot to talk about. So glad you're here. Thank you for joining me this morning. It's Sunday morning. I hope you're having a great weekend. Let's talk about the one big thing that you need to do as a silver stacker, or you will likely fail. And that's very simple. You need to be patient. You need to stack responsibly. You need to be patient. I need to be patient because, guys, we are heading into an environment where we could see the silver price go up by 2x or 3x. And I'm talking about in the near term horizon, sometime here in the next couple years. I want you to realize, I want you to think about one fact. Sorry, my voice instrument is malfunctioning this morning. One important, key, critical thing we need to remember about silver. We are consuming more silver right now than is being produced. Silver is being drained from the above ground supply. There's a great example we can look at that will show us what we can expect with the silver price, and that's uranium. Yes, that metal that's used in the nuclear field. It has tripled over the last few years. I want to show you what happened with uranium because the exact same thing, hold on here. Here we go, is happening in the silver. Here, look at uranium from about 2022 at about $26 per pound. It shot all the way up to $100 per pound. I believe it's by pound. I'm really going to look foolish if I'm saying that the wrong way. But why it's so important to look at uranium is because uranium right back then, was in the same situation that silver is in right now. Back in 2020, 2021, the world was consuming more uranium than the mining companies could produce. Does that sound familiar? Right? So there was this temporary, right? That's what's going on in silver right now. There was this temporary period of time when the world nuclear reactors, when the world market for uranium was able to drain that excess uranium that was required above and beyond what the mining companies were producing, they were able to drain that from the above ground supplies. That is exactly what is going on with the silver market right now. And the big consumers the big users of uranium were able to keep the uranium price down. But eventually, market realities, let's look at this. This is not a uranium channel. We're a silver and gold channel. But this, here, let me show you. I'll draw on this chart. This is uranium. Let's make a big U, okay? Big U with a circle around it. During this period back here, we were in a situation where the world was consuming more uranium than the mining companies could produce. There was an above ground surplus, just like we have with silver right now. Eventually, around this time, the free market forces began to take hold. There was only so much uranium above ground, and we saw the uranium price go from $25 a pound, went as high as $100. I think right now it's around $80 per pound. So as a silver investor, if you want to be successful, you don't want to fail. I know you don't want to fail. I don't want you to fail. I don't want to fail. We need to be patient because our day is absolutely, undoubtedly coming. We could have a 3x. It's just a matter of time. Look, the guys over at Pimbex always talk about stack responsibly, dollar cost average in, right? We say that. It's so critically important. Let's run out and take a quick look and get an update on silver and gold price, and at the same time say thank you to channel sponsor Pimbex. Let's go to their silver page. Look at all this different silver you can choose from. Bars. Wow, I wonder, this is rehearsed. I'm just curious what 100 ounce right now are Canadian Mint. Okay. PIMBEX has a great selection of silver and gold and platinum group metals. They spend Ron's basement. I want to say thank you. What they've done for our community allowed us to get more metal for our money. It's online bullion deal by gold, silver, platinum group metals. Great selection. A company that I trust. I encourage you, do your own due diligence, learn about them on your own. I know a lot of our fellow basement dwellers, an overwhelming majority of people that have given a chance have been very happy because you always get more metal for your money. Compare what PIMBEX can do for you when you're looking at things like American Silver Eagles or any other product of the other big online bullion dealers, and I'll think you will be pleasantly surprised. We are in for a good move in the silver market. All right. So the thing that if you want to avoid failure, be patient. The other big thing with silver is, of course, there's always a premium that's being paid when you buy physical silver. If you try to do quick trades on physical silver, you likely will get your lunch handed to you because there's that hurdle that you need to get over, which is the premium that all online bullion dealers and all the coin shops charge. So if you buy silver, I always recommend buy it as a long-term hold. I have never sold an ounce of silver in my entire life. I look at it as a generational investment because we are absolutely heading into a period where the demand is going to way outdo the supply. Okay, let's talk about 8,000. Are you ready for $8,000 gold? Hold on here. There we go. The computer was moving a little slow on me. North Star Charts is highly respected, very closely followed, and he put this out just yesterday. As gold prices passed 2,700 and peaked around 2,800, we advised our website members it was a profit-taking area for people who are traders. This generalized roadmap is playing out well. The pullback that we're in right now does not need to be as deep as shown here. And let's take a look at this chart. He put this one out, I believe it was in April. April 28th. And look how there's a couple of critical things we want to look at on this chart. Number one, this red line right here, the 24-year support line, which we are holding in the gold market up here at the top, right? He predicted, he was very accurate with what would happen over the last 4 or 5 months. He's showing that we could, we went up, we could have a pullback, but then we have a big, powerful move upward. And the key here is that we want to get above this 44-year, right here where my arrow is, 44-year resistance line. Once we get above that, that will then become a support line. And that is when we can look at prices, right? And it may be 4, 5, 6 years. Who knows? Could be 1 year, but we'll be patient. Like we said, we could have gold prices move to $8,000 to $12,000 target, subject to constant review according to incoming data. So again, guys, we have a long-term bull market in gold. We have a long-term bull market in silver. The future is looking very, very bright for both of the precious metals. Now, there's a lot of weird stuff going on right now, right? You probably have heard there's these strange drone sightings. People in New Jersey, people in other parts of the country are seeing these big drones. No one knows what's going on. So anything that I'm going to say here is going to be speculation. But when I look at it through the lens of gold and silver, and as we've talked about many times, I think we are heading into a period of much uncertainty, much turmoil. But we're hearing all types of speculation. I want to emphasize speculation about what's going on with the drones. I talked to I didn't talk to him directly, listened to a drone expert, a guy who works with the military, everything else. And he brought up some good points. He said, the only reason that a drone is going to be out at nighttime is if it's looking for something with a sensor. Okay, because drones usually are used for observation, right? So he said at night, if they're out looking, they're looking for something with sensors. Now there's speculation, emphasize speculation, that they're looking for nuclear related materials. Okay, I don't know. I've heard that idea now being floated by, and again, I think that's speculation at this point. But the critical thing to remember, look, there's all kinds of crazy stories. They're coming up out of the ocean. There's an Iranian mothership. I've heard that one. I don't know, right? I mean, who knows? Nothing's off the table because the government's not really telling us, or doesn't have an answer, or not allowing, or not giving an answer as to what's going on. But according to this expert, he said they're probably being launched somewhere from the land, and they are looking for something. That's the only reason, really, if you think about it, the drones go up. And if they're doing it at night, they probably have some type of sensor on there because they can't see at night, right? If they wanted to be looking during the day visually, they would be up there using their camera. So the developing situation, it's weird to me, right? I'm just putting some puzzle pieces together here. Be curious what you think about this. But it's weird. It's a very weird situation. And it's weird that it's happening here, 4, 5, 6 weeks before we have this massive transfer of power in the White House. There is a lot going on. All I can say, and I hope I'm wrong, is buckle up, Buttercup, for 2025, because I think we're going to be moving into a massive period of uncertainty. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you can laugh at me and say, oh, he was the town crier or whatever. But I just have a strong feeling that as uneventful in many ways that 2024 was, 2025 could offer us a buffet of uncertainty. And let's hope that we continue, all of us, basement dwellers and everyone, to be safe as well. Okay. We've got massive news. I want you to think about this. What does it mean? All over the world, there are massive, great changes going on for precious metals. I have a buffet for you right now. When you're done with this, you're going to be full of good feelings about silver and gold, because everywhere we look in the world, there are changes occurring, big changes, and they're not being covered, generally speaking, by the mainstream media, that are positive for the precious metals, that mean that what I've decided to do, right? Go against the grain, go against the mainstream, is likely a very smart decision. Let's dig into just a couple of these right now. We're going to fly through these because we've talked about a few of them. We've got this from Florida, okay? The Florida CFO. His name is Jimmy. Here's our friend Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy. Hold on here. Where is he? Jimmy Petronas initiates a study on gold and silver as legal tender in Florida. Guys, this is big. It's a $200,000 study in Florida to look at using gold and silver as legal tender. And it wasn't initiated by some special interest. No, this is from the chief financial officer of the state of Florida. Do you know how big Florida is? Florida's a huge state. Florida also, I want you to think about this, is one of the states that's been doing very, very well. If Florida moves to to examine how they could use gold and silver as legal, if Florida goes, that's big. That's massive. Okay. I didn't realize, and I'm not going to lie to you. Not now, anyway. No, I'm not going to lie to you. I forget, but there's some crazy statistic about how big the economy is in the state of Florida. Like that one, California, if it was its own country, California would be the 7th biggest country in the world from an economic perspective. Blah, blah. Everybody's leaving. Well, not everybody, but there's a lot of people are leaving California and moving to states like Florida, moving to states like Texas, because those states are more what I would call innovative and growing. And we're seeing that, right? We're seeing that now with Florida. But what about Texas? I think there's something going on in Texas, but let's talk about Indonesia. Indonesia? Where the heck is Indonesia? Okay, here we go. Another big worldwide move. Again, this comes from the Jakarta News. Now Indonesia eyes a bullion bank to harness their domestic gold reserves. We are seeing this. This is just an example of countries all over the world that are making bold steps, right, to reclaim their gold, to reclaim. Indonesia produces gold. Indonesia wants to keep the gold now in the country. They're going to start their own bullion bank. I mean, this is happening everywhere. It's happening in Africa. A lot of these African nations have a lot of gold, right? We're seeing it in South America. The only place we're not seeing it and we're not hearing about it is in the G7 countries, countries like the United States, right? Canada, right? Europe. Right? But we know this. Think about this. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. We know this about the Europeans. The European central banks not secretly, but silently, I think is a good way to describe it. The European central banks have a boatload of gold, a shipload of gold. When you look at the amount of gold that France has, Germany has, Italy has, and it's done silently, but they have about, I think it's like 4%, the equivalent of 4% of their GDP. And it's all relative to each other just perfectly. Some people, I love the word speculation, speculate, right, that the European countries, Holland, are doing that to prepare for the potential of a move back to a gold standard. Like they all want to have about the equivalent of 4% of their GDPs in gold. It's going on in Indonesia. It's going on in Florida. Here, now let's go back to the United States of America, one of my favorite states, Texas. What's Texas doing? Hold on. Here we go. Texas. This is from Kitco. Texas proposes gold and silver-backed currencies to compete with fiat money. Gold and silver-backed currencies to compete with fiat money. Wow. Let's just read the first paragraph. In a quest for sound money, a Texas lawmaker has filed not one, but two bills that, if passed, would create gold and silver-backed transactional currencies, backed 100% by the underlying asset that would serve as legal tender in the state. Guys, they are talking about transactional currencies backed 100% by gold and silver. And we are not talking about some far-flung place, some far-flung country. No, we are talking about the state of Texas. Where's Elon Musk moving all of his operations, it feels like? Texas. Where are a lot of companies moving? We've had companies here from Texas. Texas is growing. Texas is innovative. And Texas, we're talking about a gold and silver. They have their own bullion bank and their own depository in Texas. This is big because if we get a major state, if we get Florida, if we get Texas, that moves forward with one of these ideas and we have a regulated state-backed gold and silver currency where we know that for each one of the electronic tokens or each one of the units that you have, that there's a certain amount of gold and silver there, it could take off like wildfire because we are heading into an environment where we're going to have runaway inflation. Don't worry, I won't go down the inflation road, but guys, inflation is coming. Money printing is coming. Hey, thank you. Wow. Would you, I got a super chat here. Let's take a quick detour to see what our friend here, Chamberlain and Sons, pay me. Would you recommend to wait till the 17th for further purchases? What I would recommend, let me talk to you quickly about that. Thank you for that super chat, my friend. What I always recommend with buying silver and what I've always done is try to do it responsibly, do it responsibly, but do it in chunks. Like if, for instance, if I had $10,000 that I wanted to invest in silver, maybe I buy $2,000 a month for the next 5 months and space it out, dollar cost average it, because trying to predict these short-term moves is really a game, not for a fool, but for somebody who's it's impossible to really predict which way these metals will move. I don't think that we're going to see a huge spike up. I'm telling you, if Kamala had won the presidential race, we would have much higher silver and gold right now. I'm not at all, not a political channel. So I think, I was quite pleased with the outcome of the presidential election, but I respect everybody's own opinions. I was very pleased. However, it threw a big wrench into the short-term prices for gold and silver. It was great for Bitcoin. It was great. Everything's in a bubble. We'll touch on that later. I thought that we would get above. I was thinking we would get to at least $40, maybe $44 silver by Christmas. I was wrong. I apologize. I always say my predictions, they're often right, but they're also often wrong. And but I do believe that as we move into 2025, that we will see a silver price that at one point during the year, at minimum, approaches $40 per ounce. At minimum. These fundamental factors driving silver are not going away. And I think we have a possibility that it could go much higher. But I could be wrong. We could have silver next year go down into the mid-20s, right? I just would be, I don't know how you feel about this, but I would be shocked. I would actually maybe in some weird way be happy if silver got back to mid-$25 per ounce, right? Because I would back the truck up. Right. I buy silver for a long-term investment. I think a lot of you would feel the same way, that if we get silver down that low. So a long answer to a quick question, I would make purchases in chunks. Right. I think what you're referring to is the Federal Reserve announcement, which will be it's either Wednesday or Thursday. Let's go out and take a look and see what they're saying on the CME FedWatch tool. This will be quick because probably didn't change over the weekend. But this will tell us, here's the countdown. It says 3 days. So the FOMC meeting is in 3 days. The announcements seem to always be on Thursdays, but I could be wrong. I'll get updated information for you on that one. Oh, there's Jerome Powell right in the middle of the screen. Here, come on. And right now, as of here we go. So, yeah, we're still at a 96% chance of a rate cut this week on Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know. You got to realize this. I've heard several people say, oh, Ron, when the Fed cuts rates this week, that's going to make the gold and silver price run. It could. But if it does, that's just a coincidence. If the Fed cuts rates by a quarter point, don't get mad at me. I'm your friend. But I'm going to tell you this. I know for a fact. The gold price and the silver price right now have already baked in that 25 basis point, quarter point interest rate cut. Okay, it's a 96% chance. So the only thing that could really, really have a real material impact on the silver and gold price would be if they cut rates by more, which is like a 0% chance, or if the Fed says, we've decided after we've looked at the data and we want to create mayhem, we've decided not to cut rates. If the Fed does not cut rates this week, if they leave rates the way that they are, now again, according to the big money, right? The big money, the hedge funds, the in the know, the insiders, that's what we just looked at. The CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, they own the COMEX, by the way, as well. Nonetheless, according to them, it's a 96% chance that they're going to cut rates. So if we have a big movement, now here's what could impact the price massively when the Fed gives their announcement this week. Okay. No, there's two things. I'll give you the two reasons why the Fed could really move the metals markets. Number one, if they surprise us, like we just talked about, a half point cut or no cut. The other thing is their language. You got to think about this, right? And this should make you mad because it makes me mad. The Fed has become more of a public relations firm. They're like the Wizard of Oz. Everything, since we're living in a world of fantasy illusion, fantasy land economy, unicorn fart dust, debt, whatever, the Fed has become more of a public relations firm. So the other thing that could really either move gold and silver much higher or downward would be if the Fed communicates. It's their words. They can sometimes change one word in their release, in their press release, and that can move the market. So their communication will also be very critical as they talk about what to expect and their observations on the economy and blah, blah, blah. Here's the bottom line, though. Buttercup. People I call Buttercup. So I'm telling you, I like you when I say that. It's going to be an interesting ride. Before I forget, thank you for being here. I forgot the most important part. That's you. Yes, you, all 500 of us together on a Sunday morning. Isn't this great? On a serious note, it's a big deal when you're here. We appreciate you. You're part of this group. You're always welcome here. Please subscribe to the channel. That would help. Give the video a thumbs up. And super chats, like our friend the paving man gave us, are always super appreciated. Never expected. So thank you. Oh, the big picture. I almost forgot. When it comes to all this Fed mumbo jumbo, you're going to be fed from the Fed a bunch of BS. Okay. The big picture remains intact. Okay. The dollar is going down in value, and the value of the precious metals will continue to go upward and upward. Sorry, my phone was ringing there for a second. Susie's older brother, a good friend of mine. Okay. So we talked about, let's see. Let's do a quick review. We talked about Florida. We talked about Indonesia. We talked about Texas. Who else can we talk about here? This is interesting. Do I have you on the right screen? No, I do not. This is very interesting. Okay. This I was shocked to hear this morning from William Middlecoop, another one of these guys, big respected person in the gold and silver sector. The United Arab Emirates has now surpassed the United Kingdom. London, England, the LBMI, the London Bullion Market Association, is the second largest gold trading hub, reshaping global markets alongside the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, India, and China. With record gold buys and shifting reliance from the U.S. dollar, Dubai leads a new era in precious metals. Guys, the world, remember, I don't want to scare you or break your heart. Okay, but we live in the West. We live in a country where there's like 5 companies that own all the media outlets. The establishment does not like gold and silver. That's a fact. Okay, so all this stuff is happening all over the world, and we aren't going to be told about it. Things like what we just looked at. The United Arab Emirates is now the second largest gold trading hub in the world. Second largest? I don't know who the first is. United States? Maybe China? Who knows? All right, join me for a quick sip of coffee. All right, let's get back to it. Now we have El Salvador. We're just going to run through the world. This is the wide world of precious metals. Okay. Here we go. El Salvador, this was from Newsweek earlier in the week. They eye a $3 trillion gold mine beneath their soil. Their president is calling for a reversal of a ban on mining because he claims they now have $3 trillion worth of unmined gold in El Salvador. And isn't El Salvador the country that was like the Bitcoin deal or whatever? Remember, like they were going to change all their money over to Bitcoin? I believe that's correct. And now the president is saying, hey, we almost hit my clock. We want to reopen gold mining in our country because we found $3 trillion worth of gold. I don't know, guys. It's very, very interesting. And on top of that, in the wide world of gold, we hear this, right? This was one of the biggest news stories in the metals market in the last week from our friend Niels, that PBOC, the People's Bank of China, is back in the gold market, buying 5 tons in November. This is their the Chinese official numbers. Okay, so from an official perspective, the Chinese had taken off 6 months from gold buying, right? And the Chinese are major buyers of gold. Prior to that, it was like 18 months straight that they'd added to their gold reserves. So critical to understand, though. And there's guys, listen, there's people that have proven this. That's their official. Now they are officially admitting that they're buying more gold. However, there is a speculation that that they never stopped buying gold when you examine like import stuff going through the Middle East, like we just talked about, through the United Arab Emirates. There are very intelligent people in the gold and silver world that say that China absolutely actually never stopped buying gold. However, that's it. Now, I wanted to point this out. You know, they are always demonizing gold. This was from Bloomberg about gold. They say that jewelry, this is another interesting thing about China, jewelry stores across China have been receiving mysterious, unusually large orders for gold bars from customers who asked for the precious metal to be sent, I guess that's the way they say it in over there, mailed to faraway addresses in the nation. Okay. And then here's the headline: China's lust for gold exploited by scammers and money launderers. That's Bloomberg. I want to point out to you guys, the Western media is not on our side as gold and silver investors. There was, and there are people who've told me that there was coordinated efforts, even with Hollywood over the years, to kind of diminish or demonize silver and gold. I mean, in the example this person used with me was, he said, think about it. When you hear gold and silver, you think of like James Bond, criminals, right? When you think of silver, you think of pirates, right? Stealing and thievery. It's very interesting that over these last years, and even still now in the mainstream media, gold and silver, what we are doing, we're kind of working against the grain as gold and silver investors. But when we examine the proof of what's going on in the world, even when we examine on a state, if gold and silver were so bad, why is Texas talking about starting a gold and silver backed currency? Why is the CFO of Florida commissioning a major study to examine how gold and silver can be used as legal tender in the state of Florida? I mean, I bet if you add the economies of Florida and Texas together, and then you examine also the reason why we want to keep an eye on this, examine how much they have grown relative to other states in the United States, that's a big deal. And these states are making tangible, real steps towards examining using gold and silver as legal tender. Now, we never talk about Canada. I'll talk about Canada briefly. We're going to talk about big trouble in Canada. And this is kind of being hidden from us as well, because I didn't know anything about this until just recently. But there's big trouble going on in Canada. Any of you that are watching right now, we got people all over the world. Hey, put your China stacking gold. Yeah, baby. Put the country that you're joining us from in the comment section here, right? I'm Mr. USA, St. Louis, Missouri. All right, we have people all over the world, and Canada's got trouble. But I do want to say thank you to our Canadian mining company sponsor, First Mining Gold. They have gold in the ground in Canada. They're a development stage company with 2 multi-million ounce projects. Also want to say thank you to Fortuna Mining. They're an operating mining company, silver and gold mines in Latin America, and an expanding gold operations in West Africa. You can learn more about both those companies at their respective websites, a link to which I have in the description of this video. Don't forget also, before I forget, where is it? Right there, DirtyMan SAFE. I'm giving one away in 15 days on the 30th of December during the 10 a.m. live stream. Okay, I'll put a link in the description of this in a little while after this live stream. You can go check that out about how to enter the DirtyMan SAFE giveaway, and you can have your own DirtyMan SAFE word like we just talked about. Where did the pirates, think about this, where did the pirates, gold and silver, right? They hid it in the ground. All right, back to Canada. Canada is in big trouble. Look at this. I didn't realize. Apparently Canada did a massive, let me find the article, a massive interest rate cut just last week, a 0.5% cut. Could our Fed be preparing to do that? Listen to these numbers right now, okay? Canada's unemployment rate is almost 7%, the highest level in 7 years. The Bank of Canada cut rates by 50 basis points to respond to economic weakness. The lack of hiring across Canada and the U.S. is signaling deeper economic troubles. Both economies are facing synchronized challenges caused by central banks to adjust their monetary policies. In November, Canada added just 50,000 jobs, but the majority were in the public sector, okay? Despite notable increases in payrolls, the Canadian unemployment rate reached 7%. Economists are scrambling to adjust forecasts as Canada's economy weakens faster than anticipated. And it's not just the one country. Both Canada and the United States are facing synchronized challenges with rising unemployment reflecting broader global economic trends. The synchronization extends to everything from central bank policies to interest rates and even consumer prices. Pay attention to what's happening up north. And we are getting like a media blackout on this in the United States. Did you know, right, that the Canadian economy is really struggling? Okay, maybe you know because you dig a little deeper, right? What about Germany? Germany is the biggest economy in Europe. And Germany is in pretty nasty economic situation right now. Do you even realize? I mean, right? Maybe you do realize, right? Because again, you dive a little deeper. But I'm telling you, 99%, that same 99% of Americans who don't own gold and silver have no clue what's going on in Canada, have no clue what's going on in Germany because the mainstream media doesn't spoon feed it to them. And right now, everything is in a bubble. I'm sorry. We got to go through it one more time, guys, because this is what we are heading into. I'm telling you, I believe, I could be wrong. Don't make any financial decisions based on anything that I'm saying. But I believe they're setting us up, that they're setting the this is just my speculation, the incoming presidential administration up for a massive headache failure in 2025, that they are gonna stack the deck to a point where when Donald Trump comes into office, everything is set up so that about the only way that it can go is down. I don't look, and I'm not a political statement. I don't trust I just don't. I'm sorry. I don't trust the people that are pulling the strings. And the reason I say this is if we take a step back, right, and look at this and just run through this list, it's astounding right now. Okay. Charlie Biello pointed this out. We have stocks right now at all-time highs, home prices, all-time highs, crypto, all-time highs, national debt, all-time highs. Inflation is above 3% for 43 straight months, the longest run of high inflation since the early 1990s. And all of this is happening when the Fed is going to cut rates. I mean, guys, we are set up. Nothing, how do I say this? They stacked the deck. It feels like, maybe I'm wrong. I could definitely be wrong. But it just sure feels like on so many levels we are heading into a lot of uncertainty. Let's hold on here. Are you guys still there? Hopefully you can still hear me. Okay, let's go take a look. Let's do our daily field trip. And oh yeah, 36 trillion. They stacked the deck. Okay, the federal budget deficit, they stacked the deck. Interest on the debt, right, is now bigger than the national defense. Okay, look at Social Security. I mean, we're paying 1.5 trillion. If you add Social Security payments and Medicare payments, you come to $3.3 trillion. Our government's only bringing in 5 trillion. We're spending what? Almost 2/3 of our income as a country on Social Security and Medicare. It doesn't work. Okay. This interest payments, And Janet Yellen said it herself just the other day. By the way, okay, I won't get her out. I won't bug you with it. But Janet Yellen apologized to you and me. She's sorry. Janet's sorry. Because when she was at the Federal Reserve, don't forget, she headed up the Federal Reserve for a number of years. And during her current term as Treasury Secretary, the United States government has acquired approximately what, 16, 17 trillion dollars of new debt. But Janet's sorry that happened, and it needs to be addressed. Now that this is great. Now that she's leaving, now that she's getting booted, right? Now suddenly she's out saying this is bad. This needs to be addressed. We got this big, because here's the reason why, right? And we know this, but she's finally recognizing it. She says, especially in an environment of higher interest rates. And let me show you what that means and why we are in an absolute spiral situation right now, because we got 36 trillion in debt. Okay. And it's growing and growing because we have this deficit, but that debt creates the interest expense. All that debt that we have needs to be refinanced constantly, week by week. It's always different tranches of it are being refinanced. As it's being refinanced, because we are now in a much higher interest rate environment, the expense goes up. It's real easy, right? If you've got, for every, let's say, $100,000 of debt the United States government has that comes due, like this week, they need to refinance it. Okay. It had been borrowed initially maybe at 2 or 3%. Now they're being required to pay almost double that amount, 4 or 5%. So this number, not only is it growing, right? Not only is it growing because the deficit is growing and the debt level is growing, but it's getting a double whammy because the interest rate is going up. It's like if the interest rate on your mortgage for your house, if it reset every 5 years, and right now you're at 3%, but when it resets, it would reset at 6%. It would almost double your house payment. And that's the situation that our government and Janet Yellen have gotten us into. Wow, it continues to explode higher. The dollar to silver ratio, 1116. See if I can remember that. It was just 1113 yesterday. Let's get an update and see how much it has gone up. Come on. There we go. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Okay. So today is the 15th. So in 2 days, 12-15. I know you probably just love watching me type, right? This is our 1116. Okay. This shows us less than 2 months ago, the dollar to silver ratio was at 729. We've been tracking this every day on a regular basis. But again, guys, back then we were astounded that our government was printing 729 fresh new paper, make-believe, unicorn fart dust dollars for each 1 ounce of silver that's being mined. In less than 2 months, that has skyrocketed to $1,116. Now, those of you who were with me last night, this bears repeating, guys. We talk about bubbles. We talk about manias. This stuff is real, right? This is real, right? American Silver Eagle, real metal, okay? This is bad enough. Paper. Let's review. Paper. See what it says at the top? Note. It's a note. It's a debt instrument. Real note. Okay. Then to make things more interesting now, our government, I can't say that, but anyway, there's a mania going on in the crypto world. Okay. So we got real, you got kind of paper, and then you have crypto. And I think this proves that more so than anything. There it is right here. There is a cryptocurrency now, guys. This is real. I'm not joking with you, called Fart Coin. and it's taken the crypto atmosphere by storm, breaking the 500 million market cap. That is huge. That's big. 500 million market cap for Fart Coin. Okay. Look at it. There's its market cap. I haven't checked at least recently, but this is from a day or so ago. This guy, even the author says, I hate that I'm writing this as much as you probably hate reading it. The meme coin, Fart Coin, has officially blown past expectations and now boasts a market cap larger. Look, I don't care. Look, I'm not anti-crypto, but crypto people, you can't argue. This is part of your family, okay? Gold and silver and platinum and palladium and uranium and all the other metals out there, aluminum, steel, whatever. I don't know if that's a really, but you know what I'm saying, are all part of the same family. Bitcoin, what's XRP, whatever, all that, and Fart Coin. This is one of your relatives, okay? What is Fart Coin? If the name didn't clue you in, it's a crypto built on the Solana blockchain, powered by a mixture of humor, internet culture, and surprisingly innovative crypto tech, okay? You can read more about this if you want, but that's what's going on in our world right now. Tell me, look, I am entitled to my opinion. You are entitled to your opinion. I'm not anti-Bitcoin, but I do feel that the crypto world is back into a bubble territory. Okay, I could be wrong, right? One of the things that I want to point out when we compare, because we've got so much in common with the crypto people. We do, our distaste for fiat money. The list goes on and on. We're all really brothers and sisters. Okay, the one thing though that I would say, and I don't know if it was Rick Rule who said this or who said it, but most people that are following the cryptocurrencies only follow the price. It's just price. And there's no work involved when you're just following the price of something. Well, it just goes up and up and up and up. So I'm going to buy more and more and more and more until it's like a game of musical chairs. Okay. Whereas when you buy an ounce of silver, let's say, like, this is real. I know what the value is. I know what this can be used for in industry. I know that it's been used in money for thousands and thousands of years, and it's real. And I know what it takes to get another one of these out of the ground, right? I know Bitcoin is limited in number, and you got to mine it with computers and tech, whatever. But to me, there's much more focus when you talk about silver and gold on value. Like, what's the real value behind it? Sure, we pay attention to the price, blah, blah, blah. I know we shouldn't care about what the dollar value. We should care about the number of ounces of silver and gold we have. But in the crypto world, it's just purely price. And it's not just that. It's also these other bubble AI stocks like NVIDIA. I could even say probably Apple. I bet 99% of the people that own NVIDIA stock and Apple stock don't really know what they own. Look, I worked for one of the big four accounting firms. I have a degree in accounting. I don't want to sit down here and brag, but I know how to, like a musician can read a sheet of music. I can read things like balance sheets and cash flow statements and do fundamental analysis of companies and stocks. And I guarantee you 99% of the people that own, they don't know what a price to sales ratio is. All they know is, well, the price goes up, the price goes up, price. It's like a kind of like a Ponzi scheme, in my opinion. I don't know. I could be dead wrong. I think we're headed for some interesting times. Thank you to Jake from Jake's Custom Parts. Thank you to Annie Oakley, the moderators. Thank you to Susie. Thank you for being here. Don't forget, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for the super chat. Did I get another one that I missed? Todd. Thank you, Todd Warsaw. Todd with 2 Ds. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Chambers and Sons Paving. Good luck with your purchases. Remember, nobody can ever perfectly time buying stocks, metals, anything. Just do your best. Okay. Have a great day, guys. And I will look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.